Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to the first official day of Guilds of Ravnica previews. And it's preview season again, so we're going to do what we always do, and that's recap and analyze all the cards that come out through the course of the day. This is the first video in a series. Every day that new cards come out, you'll see one of these videos, and hopefully it will keep you up to date as to what's going on. Now, quickly, before we get started, just a fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to help support what we do here at the channel. Our Patreon page is down there. You'll also find links to products on Amazon if you make any purchases on Amazon, no matter what it is. Once you go through that first link, we'll get a small percentage for the channel. Finally, Flipside Gaming still offering a promo code for our viewers. Hopefully you can save some cash while you support us. But as always, thank you not only to the folks that look at those links, but to all the viewers. Y'all make the channel what it is. But let's get into today's cards. Bounty Agent. It's a 1/1 human soldier rare 2/2 with vigilance. Tap, sacrifice this, and destroy target legendary permanent that's an artifact, creature, or enchantment. Okay, so it's a bear with upside. For limited purposes, I'm happy with it. I'll definitely play this card. At rare, I don't know if it's always going to be my first pick in a draft out of the pack. There might be some really good uncommons. We're going to see some in a few moments, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I do think it's a very serviceable card. And we're not really sure exactly how many good legendary permanents that fall under these categories are in the set. If there's enough, then maybe it becomes a better pick. But just on its own, a 2/2 vigilance for 2, it works with Selesnya because you have Convoke going on there. It works with Boros because this actually will work well with some of the other small mentor creatures and such. And this could actually kind of turn into a vigilance beater for you under the right circumstances. So really good design. It's going to fit into your limited builds. I think you're going to be happy with it there. As for standard, I don't know if there's any decks right now saying, wow, I really need this card because of that legendary creature, artifact, or enchantment that I was concerned about. There are some really good ones, though, from Dominaria that are going to be staying within the format. So I'm glad this exists, and definitely when rotation occurs and as more cards come out, this is the type of card that I want to see designed, because at some point, maybe this does see some sideboard play in standard if something becomes too powerful or too aggressive. And those are the kind of safety valves we need that a lot of times we're missing over the last couple of years and why we had problems with standard. Finally, for Commander as well, this is awesome because it deals with commanders effectively, deals with a lot of legendary things. Sure, it doesn't deal with planeswalkers, but that's okay. There's just a lot of targets for this in the world of Commander. So just generally, good design all around here. Sunhome Stalwart. This is going to cost a 1/1. It's a human soldier, uncommon 2/2 for Strike Mentor. So we were talking a little bit last week that so far from what we saw from Mentor, it feels a little lackluster. Like it just feels like you need to have a lot of Mentor going on for it to be great. Well, one thing that can help Mentor along is definitely by throwing First Strike on the creature too, and this does that. So for limited purposes, this is going to be a very key card, I think, in those Boros decks at uncommon. You'll definitely want to pick this up in your drafts for sure if you're going down that road. In Selesnya even, it could be a cheap creature that helps you power out Convoke too, so it could have a secondary role there. But definitely, if you're in Boros, you're going to want something like this to really push that Mentor mechanic and be aggressive. Now, when it comes to the world of Standard, could a Boros aggressive deck get there? Well, Mentor has to have more cards like this for that to be a reality. If it does, though, it's possible. Dimir Informant. This is a blue and 2 human rogue common 1/4 when this enters the battlefield. Surveil 2. Okay, so many times we see these 1/4s for 3 in limited, and they're actually pretty good because blue kind of wants to gum up the board with a lot of the strategies that you'll find in those limited environments. For example, sometimes it's mill, sometimes it's just more counter magic, whatever it is. A lot of times blue has a slow start. So this is going to protect you against some of those early ground pounders, and especially if you're up against a hyper-aggressive deck like a Boros deck or something, if you're not main decking this, you might want to bring it in those occasions because it will be good for you there no matter what. What I like about this too is this could also work well in Izzet, not just in Dimir, because Surveil works well with Jumpstart. So there's definitely synergy there as well. Surveil just generally feels like a great mechanic. I mean, we know Scry is a great mechanic, and it feels like they're really pushing it in these Dimir cards. And Surveil, you could argue, is even better just simply because it could also sometimes fuel the graveyard, which definitely appears to matter within this set. So overall, I do think this is going to be a pretty good common for you. Maybe not an early pick, but something you might get in the middle to later portion of the pack and feel really good about and actually play. Dream Eater. 2 blue and 4. This one's a mythic. It's a Nightmare Sphinx. Of course it is. 4/3, flash flying. When this enters the battlefield, Surveil 4. When you do, you may return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hands. So I kind of wish it was any non-land permanent, so that way you could protect your stuff some of the time. That would be cool, but I can't complain all too much because this is pretty stacked for limited. 4/3 flash flying, and then you get to Surval 4. That's kind of insane. Not to mention the whole bounce thing, non-land permanent, so it doesn't even have to be your opponent's creature. It could be something else that they have that's problematic for you. Planeswalker, enchantment, artifact, whatever. That's kind of amazing. So the 6 mana cost is also very good, of course, in limited. You have no problem getting to 6. This card will be very, very relevant, extremely relevant there. Easily first pickable, and probably every pack it shows up in a draft, as a matter of fact. The only downside with the card is that being mythic, you just won't see it that much, and maybe that was on purpose because of its strength in draft and sealed. Standard, I just don't think it quite gets there for 6. The problem is 6 is a little expensive when you're in standard, and then the 4/3 power toughness is a little painful. Now, if this was 1 cheaper, maybe, or if it was like 1 cheaper and a 3/4, definitely, the card would get a little more push then. But I do think that 3 toughness makes it a little fragile, unfortunately, in standard right now, especially with all the burn, lightning strike, stuff like that hanging around. So other than that, though, in limited, yes, definitely play this. You're going to love it. Assassin's Trophy. This is maybe the big card of the day, perhaps the big card of the set. Black, green, instant, rare, destroy target permanent an opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. Alright, so you look at this card and you're like, I am probably just floored because this thing is incredible and you don't usually see power like this in a standard set, but I'm glad we're seeing it. First off, you might compare this to Abrupt Decay. Yeah, there's some similarities, sure. It is the same casting cost. Now, Abrupt Decay, unfortunately, has that whole line about converted mana cost 3 or less. This does open it up to targeting anything. But Abrupt Decay also can't be countered. This can, but there's another big difference. Destroy target permanent. Abrupt Decay is destroy target non-land permanent. That is huge, so you can actually hit lands with this. Secondly, much like Path to Exile, another card you might compare this to, the opponent that you use this on is going to be able to search up a basic land from their deck and put it into play. And in this case, it goes right into play, doesn't come into play tapped or anything like that. That might be a tad annoying from time to time, but you know what? I don't think it matters. It's still a small price to pay for what you're getting here at instant speed for just 2, even if it is 2 different colors. This can take care of so many problems. It does target, it is destroy, not exile, so it doesn't handle every problem that could come at you, but it's going to handle the vast majority of them. Where does this see play? Well, obviously everywhere. Commander, yes, I'm going to play it there because it's awesome. Limited, first pickable in draft, you're going to play this all the time in sealed if you're lucky enough to open it up. In standard, of course, all day long, you're going to see this thing everywhere in the format. You're going to see people probably splashing just to get access to it. It's going to be that strong as long as the mana base is good enough, and I think with Shocks that shouldn't be an issue. Modern, yep, you're going to play it there too because, yes, it has Abrupt Decay in the format, and there are some decks that might still want Abrupt Decay, or at least some matchups where we might still want it, just considering the control elements that could be out there. But I do think that this sees extensive play just generally in Modern as well. Maybe in conjunction sometimes with Abrupt Decay. Now, Vintage and Legacy, I would say I do like Abrupt Decay a little better in some ways because you have Force of Will out there, which can always loom over the game and really make you have to pick your spots a little more carefully. And Abrupt Decay gets around that, and that's kind of nice. Also, the targets are going to be lower converted mana costs there generally anyway. Now, the fact that you can hit lands, though, and the fact that this does give you more flexibility does make me feel like it could still see play in Legacy and Vintage, just maybe not in the same numbers that I would expect to see it in, of course, Standard or Modern. But I do think it could see some play, again, maybe in conjunction with Abrupt Decay out of the board or something like that during certain matches. And remember that search up a land drawback sometimes won't be a drawback against certain matchups in those formats. They just might not be running that many basic lands. So, yeah, this thing is super pushed. And I'm just going to close by saying I'm glad they made this card. I know a few years back people were getting down on Standard because they thought the answer cards were too strong. You had Abrupt Decay or Doomblade, things like that. And we saw what happened when Wizards got away from that. And that was way worse because then you had just certain cards and certain archetypes just taking over the format. If you make answers like this, you're going to guarantee that the format is not going to get stale. Yeah, maybe it will slow down a little bit because people are always going to have answers to some of the more powerful things. But I'd rather see that than just a deck that takes over the whole format like we have been seeing. So these cards are the gateway to getting a more diverse and exciting standard. I'm glad they're back to this. Goblin Electromancer. Okay, this one's a reprint, so we'll just talk about standard and limited quickly with it. In limited, yeah, this is going to be a great card if you're in these colors because Jumpstart will be that much better. So far, it doesn't look like Jumpstart's been hyper pushed. It feels like they're trying to play it safe. So a card like this is going to unlock the power of those cards a little bit. So whether you're playing Draft or Seal, this will be a key card in those type of strategies to make that mechanic better. So it will be good for you in those cases. What about Standard? Could it see play there? I think it could. Like the Wizard decks would like to have this. You have powerful spells like Wizard's Lightning and Wizard's Retort already. So this is going to enable those just for 2 mana to get it out in the battlefield. It's also pretty amazing with other current burn spells like Lightning Strike, for example. So I do think that will be a deck, especially early on in the meta as people are trying to figure out what's going on and you're just trying to build off of something you already had in the last meta. That Wizard deck could actually come out of the gate pretty strong. So that's something to keep an eye on. Also, Goblins, maybe. I mean, they have teased some Goblins so far. We got a lot of the set to see. If not now, perhaps down the road, a Goblin deck perhaps could be a thing, like an aggressive red-blue Goblin strategy with burn behind it and control. I don't know. So that's a possibility. That one's more of a long shot, but definitely the Wizard deck, I think, gets there. Hypothesizzle. Yep, they named it that. It's a red, blue, and 3 instant common. Draw 2 cards, then you may discard a non-land card. When you do, Hypothesizzle deals 4 damage to target creature. This is a good limited card. I wouldn't say standard because the casting cost of 5 feels a little too much, but I'd play this in limited. It gives me some versatility. First off, draw the 2 cards at instant speed. It replaces itself and then gives me another card deeper into the deck. I do like that. Then I can choose. I don't have to. You may discard a non-land card. If you do, it deals 4 damage to target creature, but many times that will be relevant. And also, I don't think discard is always going to be a bad thing in this set. Even in the Izzet colors, you have Jumpstart, so you can still find value from your card. That's kind of nice. So you can do 4 damage to target creature and then have a Jumpstart spell available to you. That feels pretty good. Overall, I don't think it's a super high pick for me. I don't want to dedicate myself to 2 colors so soon, even though this is a Guilds of Ravnica set, so that is going to be more acceptable than it would be in a lot of sets. But still, I'd wait a few picks. If I feel like I'm going down the Izzet road, then yeah, this could be a good pickup for me. Izoni, Thousand Eyed, 2 green, 2 black, 2 legendary creature, elf shaman, rare 2/3. Undergrowth. When this enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token for each creature card in your graveyard. Black green, sacrifice another creature, you gain 1 life, and draw a card. Let's get this out of the way first. Standard, I don't really see it there. It's very expensive for a 2/3. It's also very dependent on what's in your graveyard and how many creatures you have on the battlefield at any given time. And it's legendary, which can be a little awkward too. So aside from that, there are places where the card's good. Limited is one of those places. Whether you're playing draft or sealed, if your deck is comfortable with the 2 black, 2 green, and the casting cost, I would play this because it's going to be really good for you. Draft, it could be a high pick. Just think about in limited, playing this halfway through the game, a little bit further into the game where you have more stuff in your graveyard, being able to create all these 1/1 tokens, and then basically having this mana sink as long as you have creatures available to draw cards, and that's going to help you hit your big bomb and try to put away the game, basically. It's going to be fantastic there. Commander, though, is where this is going to truly shine, I think. The right deck would love to have this. You could even make this your commander. Imagine playing this a few times over the course of the game, creating all these little insects, and then paying the mana to turn those into card draw. That could be kind of awesome, actually, and is almost an engine on its own. So yeah, I do think this card is going to be really fun to try out in Commander. March of the Multitudes. 2 white, green, X, instant. Mythic rare. Convoke. Create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink. Let's talk standard first with this one. I think it's possible. The big obstacle in this card's way right now is Goblin Chain Whirler. And can it get beyond that? Maybe. I do think you need to have like a Selesnya Weenie deck, make it big in the format, and have not only this, but also some really good Anthem effects. I mean, you do have Benelish Marshall already, but I do think this set will need to bring us something else that's affordable and competitive to make me really feel like that deck could stand up against something that's running 4 Chain Whirlers, for example. But if that's the case, if they give us enough pieces in this set that Selesnya Weenie could be a thing, then yes, this will see standard play. And maybe if it's not right now, perhaps in the future, it will get its opportunity. So I do think at some point we will see this card in standard. It's just too good. I mean, those 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink and the Convoke built in at instant speed. This is a card that can surprise your opponent at times, build out your board, and then perhaps even move into another Convoke spell with the creatures you make. So I do think there's a lot of potential here. Limited for those same reasons. I think this is a great card. This is first pickable in a draft. You're going to love playing with this. The Convoke is spectacular. It will work well in limited. Typically your deck, especially if you're in these colors, are going to have a lot of creatures in it. So it's going to allow you to maybe play this in the middle of the game and really turn the tables when it comes to board state and kind of take over or try to take over. And I think that's great. It's also an instant, so you can use it kind of like a combat trick. Your opponent attacks in, all of a sudden you make a bunch of these little lifelink tokens, and they didn't see that coming, although they'd be attacking into a lot of open mana, so they might not fall for that, but if they do, then you could really get them pretty good. So it's going to be great there. Commander, Selesnya token decks, yeah, of course you're going to want to play it there. It's good in that format as well. So this is definitely one to keep an eye on. Niv-Mizzet Parun, this is going to cost 3 blue and 3 red. Legendary creature, Dragon Wizard Rare, 5/5. This can't be countered. Flying, and whenever you draw a card, this will deal 1 damage to any target. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. Okay, so with that casting cost, I'm going to say probably not standard, right? As much as I might want to throw this in like a Grixis Dragon build or something like that and try it out in standard, I do think that casting cost is going to be really hard to pull off. Now, who knows? If they give us a really good uncommon cycle of dual lands in this set to go along with the shocks, like maybe the bounces or something, well, then maybe I'll change my mind on this one. But for right now, I don't really see myself trying to work it into standard. Commander, though, that's really where I want to play this card, because this is going to be a fun card. Not only is it a dragon, which could definitely matter in many decks, but even if I just have a heavy instant sorcery deck, this will be a good complement to it, or a lot of card draw. But if I don't, then you know what? People are still going to play instants and sorceries, and this becomes kind of an interesting political card. Are they going to let you draw the card, and then you get to do 1 damage to something? Will they be able to maybe negotiate where you put that damage? Could be fun and interesting. So that's what I like. Those type of cards in Commander are just tons of fun. You have a lot of different really unique scenarios to play out from them. That's where I want to play this card more than anywhere. In Limited, it will be good for you too, as long as you feel comfortable that your deck can cast it. So if you're splashing the red or blue, then of course you don't want to touch it. But if you're in the Izzet colors pretty solidly, then yeah, it'll be great for you. Somali Wood Shaper. White green 2, Elf Druid, common 2/1. When this enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or enchantment card from among them, put it into your hands. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, a little too intense mana-wise, again, when it comes to standard, but in Limited, if I'm in these colors, do I play it? Sure, absolutely. The card's going to help me find another creature most of the time. That's going to be perfect for Selesnya, perfect to keep the Convoke train rolling. You'll be happy with that. Enchantments, I'm sure, will be relevant too. We haven't seen a whole lot yet, but if you have a couple in your deck to complement the many creatures you'll have, most of the time, you're going to hit something with this. Even if you miss, at least you still get a 2/1. I mean, that's not great for 4 mana, but at least you got something. But like I said, that should not happen often in a limited deck. You should be just fine in Draft and Sealed to hit a creature at the very least. So getting that creature in your hand plus the 2/1 on the battlefield, yeah, feels pretty good. Maybe not always a high pick for me or anything like that, but a nice middle of the pack pickup that I'd be happy to grab if I'm in these colors. Fresh Face Recruit. This one's a hybrid. So you have a hybrid red-white and a 1. Human Soldier, common 2/1, as long as it's your turn. This has first strike. Okay, not as exciting as the white creature we saw earlier, but again, nice complement with the whole menace mechanic, and as a matter of fact, because when you're aggressive with this, it does have first strike on your turn. Maybe you have another mentor creature, this becomes a 3/2 first striker. All of a sudden, this card feels a lot better. So on its own, it's nothing crazy, it's okay, but definitely there's cards that support this very well in the Boros colors. Also, I like the fact that I could, from time to time, use this in a Selesnya deck as another small creature I could put out quickly to enable my Convoke. Could be good there too, so definitely think outside the box, especially with these hybrid cards. Whisper Agent, another hybrid card here. 2 blue-black hybrid and 1 human rogue, common 3/2 with flash. When this enters the battlefield, surveil 1. Okay, usually I'm not a big fan of the 3/2s for 3 in Limited because they tend to trade down with 2 drops. More often than not, it seems. However, this one I'm okay with because it has flash and also has the surveil 1. I think that's good enough to make me feel like most of the time I'm going to play this in both Draft and Sealed. Now, also, it doesn't have to be a Dimir deck again. Imagine this in a Golgari deck. Maybe you hit a creature for your Undergrowth abilities, or perhaps an Izzet, you could hit a Jumpstart spell and find value that way. So again, think outside the box when it comes to these hybrid cards in Limited. Find and Finality. Okay, let's look at Find first. Now, this is a rare. Both sides are sorceries on this card. And the fine cost is 2 hybrid mana, black-green. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. We'll talk that first. Feels a little weird because it is a Nombo with Undergrowth, of course, so some of the cards in the battlefield may not appreciate that. But you know what? Sometimes you just simply need creatures to beat down with, and it's going to be just fine for you. Secondly, Finality, green, black, and 4, sorcery again. You may put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature you control. Then all creatures get -4/-4 till end of turn. So basically what that's trying to do for you is create a situation where you're kind of doing a board sweep. You can't get rid of the big stuff, but you're making your best thing a little larger. So hopefully you either have the biggest creature on the board or the only creature on the board. That's the idea here. And many times it will be a good way to catch up if you're behind, good panic button to have in limited. So generally, I think this is a great limited card. I'm going to play this. I could see myself picking it pretty high in draft, as a matter of fact, maybe even first pickable. And the first side being hybrid does help you feel like it's a little better to first pick because you don't feel like you get punished if you don't go all in on Golgari or something like that. But you know what? In Ravnica, first picking a gold card isn't the worst thing in the world either because there are a lot of ways to fix your mana typically. So I'm not too concerned about it in this set compared to some of the others. I could see myself many times first picking this card because I do think it will be the best card in the pack a lot of the time. Now, what about standard? Unfortunately, I think it's sorcery speed and the cost here, it's just a little too slow. The Finality, if that was one less and if this was like an instant on the fine side or something like that, then I would consider it. And it's so close to standard playable, I won't say that it will not see standard play. I do think it could come in out of the sideboard here or there in some decks maybe over its time in standard. But I think for the most part, this is just a solid limited card. Alright, response and resurgence. Now, this is a rare. One side's an instant, the response side. The resurgence side, though, is a sorcery. So let's break this down. Response, 2 hybrid mana, this time red and white. Response deals 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. So for limited purposes, response is a great card. You play these type of cards all the time. You're usually happy with them, I'm sure. Again, I can see myself picking this relatively high in a draft pack just for the response side, and I like, again, that it's a hybrid. So it's not locking me into Boros colors necessarily. Let's look at Resurgence, though. White, red, and 3, sorcery. Creatures you control gain first strike and vigilance until end of turn. After the main phase, there's an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. So this is one of those cards that creates a secondary combat, but also giving your creatures first strike and vigilance is huge because it just makes it so that they can attack easier, and there's more situations where you'll find profitable attacks. And if you are concerned about any sort of crackback, the vigilance is going to help you out there. This is the type of card that makes the Boros Mentor ability good. Because we've been talking about this. Is Mentor good enough? It feels a little weak. It feels a little fragile. Well, you put cards like this in the set, all of a sudden it doesn't feel so weak and fragile anymore, and that's the whole idea behind this. So Resurgence is going to be great for you in any limited game because creatures attacking in simply could win you the game a lot of the time, no matter what colors or what strategy you have. But especially in Boros, obviously, this is a perfect fit. Now, again, I don't see this doing anything outside of limited, but it's a good card there if you're going down that Boros road. But still, if I'm playing white or red to some degree, even the response side is a good card to pick up. So there might be a lot of people looking to grab one of these in a draft. Chromatic Lantern. Yay! Finally! They reprinted it. Not too long ago, Commander 2018 was coming out and we were saying, where's Chromatic Lantern? Well, finally, here it is. This is a $15, $16 card. So happy to see another printing of this. Great for the Commander players. I won't spend a lot of time on this card because you know what it does. Basically, this is a Commander card for almost every deck, and Commander players are looking for this card all the time because even though, yeah, you only put one copy in a deck, you're going to play this in so many decks, you don't want to keep moving it from deck to deck. That's just inconvenient. So you're going to want some copies of this if you're serious into Commander. And that's why this card has fetched as much as it has in the past. Happy to see this out there and reprint it again. In the upcoming standard, I don't see it doing much there, just simply because if you need this card to fix your mana that badly, that's a very narrow strategy. Don't see it working in standard. What about limited? You know what? This is great. It's an awesome mana rock too. Even if I'm not too concerned about colors, if I'm not getting super greedy, I can still see myself sometimes playing this just to accelerate a little bit. And if I am getting a little greedy with my splashes or something like that, this will help me there too. Alright, with that being said, those are the previews for today. I'm pretty excited about the set so far. Some of the cards we looked at today were more of your limited, like commons and uncommons again. but we've also seen some amazing cards today, and I can't wait to dig deeper into this set. Tomorrow, we're going to be back again recapping everything that happens within the next 24 hours. So until then, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.